Welcome to lecture 2, and we're going to focus on polynomial from quadratic to polynomial of the third degrees. Now let us first start off by focus on equation of the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Now this is called an quadratic equation. Now the key element of solving quadratic equation is to find two factors to represent b and call it b1x plus or minus b2x. Now, what if you have a quadratic equation of the form 12x squared plus 8x minus 15 equals 0? Now, the step in factorizing a quadratic equation is to first multiply the c times the constant. So we have a times c, and this should equal to a product p, and this product is called the testing product. Why? Because if you were to find two numbers, b1 multiplied by b2, this should also equal to p. And b1 plus b2 should equal to the original b. Now, both conditions must be satisfied before you can use those two elements to represent b. In the quadratic on the board, a is equal to 12 and c is equal to minus 15. Now if we multiply a and c, then p would equal to minus 180. And this is minus 180x because we're going to represent this as a product of a and the c. It's ax squared. Now we need two numbers that when multiplied gives p, and when add it's equal to the middle term. Now if we observe 18 multiplied by 10 is equal to 180, but if we put a minus 10 right there, we end up with a minus 80. And if we were to add 18 minus 10, we would equal to 8. So these two numbers satisfy the test product p, and also satisfy when adding together give b. Now let us go ahead and solve some quadratic equation. Okay, so how we would solve this? We would end up with 12x squared plus 18x minus 10 minus 15 is equal to 0. Now we're going to group factorize. Now grouping and factorize these two numbers, we can find a common number that can go in both 18 and 12 when we have 6. And 6x, you put it out the outside of the bracket. 6 multiplied by 2 equals 12, and what multiplied by 6 gives 18. We have 3. Now what we can do here is to factor out. We can factor out a number that when multiply gives 2 and we end up with minus 5, open bracket 2x plus 3. And remember, these two brackets must always be the same in order for this factorization to work. Now, 6x minus 5, open bracket, 2x plus 3 is equal to 0. We can equate each bracket to 0 and solve for x. Now, as we can see that equating these two brackets to 0, we will end up with 6x is equal to 5, x is equal to 5 over 6. Or 2x is equal to minus 3, x is equal to minus 3 over 2. And that is the solution for this quadratic equation. Now what we're going to do next is to do a few quadratic equations so we can get familiar with the procedure. Now 6x squared plus 9x plus 2x plus 3. Now what if we were given this as number 2? What we can do is automatically group and factorize because we already have 4 terms, and the aim of finding the 2 product of b is to have 4 terms in the equation, so we can group and factorize. We can factor out a 3x. From out of this, leave us with 3 2's 6 plus 3 3's 9. And here we can factor out a positive 1, leave us with 2x plus 3, and these two must be put in one bracket, and we just write back one of the common factor. So this is the answer. And if we were to solve this equation, because it was an expression before, now changed into an equation, we put in equals 0, then we will have 3x plus 1 is equal to 0, or 2x plus 3 is equal to 0. So 3x is equal to minus 1, x is equal to minus 1 over 3, or 2x is equal to minus 3, so x is equal to minus 3 over 2. And then so you solve a equation of this form. Now let us go ahead and do another. 2x squared plus 9x plus 9. Now what we need is two numbers that can replace 9 with, so that we can have 4 terms in the equation or in the expression. This is called an expression. Let us do an equation. Now 2 multiplied by 9 is equal to 18. So we put 18. Then we need two numbers that when add give 9 and when multiply give 18. 3 and 6. 2x squared plus 6x plus 3x plus 9 is equal to 0. So we can group and factorize now. So we can factor out a 2x from out of the first equation. Leave us with x plus 3 to 6, and then we can factor out a 3 from out of the second group, and we see that this bracket and this bracket is the same, so 2x plus 3 x plus 3. We only write back one of the common term, which is this and this. So we just write back only 1. Then we equate each bracket to 0. Then we solve for x. X is equal to minus 3. Now let's go ahead and solve some more. Now the purpose of knowing how to solve a quadratic equation and how to factorize a quadratic expression is important because we're going to rely a lot on factorizing quadratic in order to come up with 3 factors of a cubic polynomial. Now, let us observe. 6 multiplied by -1 gives -6. We need 2 numbers that when multiplied give -6 and when add give a +1. So automatically we know that these 2 numbers are +3 and -2x. Now let us factor out a 3x from out of the first group. Leave us with 2x plus 1 and factor out a -1 from the second group. Leave us with 2x plus 1. Now we got the 2 brackets to be the same, so 3x minus 1. Write back only one of the 2 factors above. Then we equate the 2 brackets to 0. And then we solve for x. So 3x is equal to 1 because we take the -1 and bring it across the equal sign. So x is equal to 1 over 3, or 2x plus 1 is equal to 0. 2x is equal to -1. So x is equal to -1/2. Now what this is saying is that if you were to substitute the value of x for 1 over 3 in the equation above, which is the original equation, 6x squared plus x minus 1 is equal to 0, you should get 0 and both sides. And this means, or mean you can substitute -1/2 in the value for x and you should get 0 as well. Now let's do one more. So we have x squared minus 8x plus 15 is equal to 0. Now let us rub off these to get some room. Ready. 1 multiplied by 15 is equal to 15, let's say positive 15. So we need two numbers that will multiply together gives 15 and when add give a -8. And right away we can see that -5x and -3x add to give -8. So let's factor out a x amount of the first group. X minus 5, and let's factor out a 3 from out of the second group, and this should be a -3 because we need the sign to be minus so that it can be the same as the one over here. Now let us go ahead and solve for x by equating each bracket to 0. So x is equal to 3 or x is equal to 5. And that is the solution for the quadratic equation. Now let us do some polynomial to higher degrees.